The night sky over the city was quiet. The streets were empty, except for the soft sound of traffic and the hum of streetlights. Daniel Cross was locking up his small mechanic shop, just like any other night. It was late, and all he wanted was to go home, eat leftovers, and maybe watch some old sci-fi movies. Life was boring, but boring was safe. Then, without warning, the air changed. It became heavy, like the whole world was holding its breath. The sky turned from black to deep green, as if someone had spilled paint across the stars. Daniel looked up and froze. High above the city, something huge was moving. At first, he thought it was a cloud, but clouds didn't glow, and they didn't hum with power. The object grew bigger as it came closer. It was a ship, not like any human ship. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, shifting shapes and colors. Lights pulsed along its sides in patterns that looked alive. The sound wasn't loud, but it was deep, a low vibration that rattled Daniel's bones. All around him, people stopped, cars slowed to a crawl. Phones came out as everyone tried to record what they were seeing. Some laughed nervously, others whispered prayers. But nobody ran, not yet. Then it spoke. A voice filled the air, deep and clear, as if it came from everywhere at once. It was speaking perfect English, but the tone was cold and sharp. "Quit stalling, Earthling. The Queen is waiting." The words sent a chill through Daniel. Earthling, Queen, waiting for who? The crowd murmured, confused. Then the voice spoke again, louder this time. "Daniel Cross," it said. Daniel's stomach dropped. People around him turned to look. A few even stepped back. It was like the universe had just pointed a giant finger at him. Wrong guy," Daniel muttered. But his voice shook. He tried to step away, but the ground lit up around him. A green circle of light appeared at his feet, humming softly. The crowd gasped, phones flashing as they filmed Daniel Cross. The voice repeated, "The Queen grows impatient." A beam of bright green light shot down from the ship. It was warm, almost gentle, but it pulled at him like a magnet. Daniel grabbed a streetlight pole, holding on with all his strength. "What the hell is this?" he shouted. No one answered. The pull grew stronger. His feet left the ground. Panic rose in his chest. He kicked and twisted, but it was useless. The city below shrank as he rose into the air. The faces in the crowd turned into tiny dots. The sound of car alarms and shouts faded into the deep hum of the ship. The green light pulled him through an opening in the ship's surface. The metal walls seemed to melt apart, then seal shut behind him. The air inside was different, warmer, with a faint metallic taste. The floor was smooth and silver, but it rippled like water when he stepped on it. Daniel's heart pounded. He had no idea where he was. But it was clear. This was not a human place. The hallway ahead curved, glowing faintly with blue light. No doors, no windows, just endless, shifting metal. Then from the shadows, two figures stepped forward. They were tall, at least 8 feet, wearing armor that shone like glass. Their faces were hidden behind smooth, mirrored helmets. Each carried a staff that hummed with energy. Without a word, they pointed toward the hallway. Daniel hesitated. "Look, I think you've got the wrong." One of the guards tapped his staff on the floor. A sharp crack of energy shot out, making the air sizzle. Daniel flinched. All right, I'm moving," he said, raising his hands. The guards walked behind him, their footsteps silent. The hallway led to a massive round chamber. At the center was a throne, but not like anything Daniel had ever seen. It was made of shifting black stone, growing and shrinking as if it were breathing, and on that throne sat the alien queen. She was tall, her silver skin smooth like polished metal. Her eyes glowed red, unblinking. A crown of dark crystal rose from her head like frozen lightning. When she spoke, her voice was both beautiful and terrifying. "Daniel Cross," she said, and somehow it felt like she had known his name forever. "You have kept me waiting." Daniel swallowed hard. "Lady, I don't even know who you are," he said, trying to sound brave. The queen leaned forward. "Oh, you will," she whispered. Then she smiled, not kindly. Your world depends on it. Asterisk taken to the queen. Daniel stood frozen. The queen's red eyes locked on him like a hunter studying its prey. Her voice was calm, but every word carried weight. It was the kind of voice that made you want to listen, even if you didn't want to obey. Two guards stepped forward, their mirrored helmets reflecting Daniel's confused face. Without speaking, they gripped his arms. Their touch was cold and too strong to fight. The floor beneath them rippled like liquid metal, shifting to form a narrow bridge. Daniel glanced down and felt his stomach twist. Beneath the bridge was nothing but endless black void. It was like walking over a bottomless pit. As they moved, Daniel noticed the walls. They weren't solid. Strange shapes swam beneath the surface. At first, he thought it was light, until one shape turned and stared back at him. He looked away quickly. This place felt alive, and it didn't like him. The guards led him through a tall archway. Beyond it was a grand chamber, unlike anything he'd seen before. It stretched high into the darkness, so tall that the ceiling was lost in shadow. Long banners hung from above, glowing faintly with alien symbols that seemed to move when he wasn't looking. In the center, the queen's throne rose from the floor like it had grown there, twisting upward like the trunk of an ancient tree. Dark veins of crystal pulsed inside it, matching the slow beat of a heart. The queen herself sat perfectly still. She didn't blink, didn't breathe, only her eyes moved, following Daniel as he was pushed forward. The silence in the chamber was heavy, the kind of silence that made you hear your own heartbeat. When the guards stopped, Daniel tried to speak. Look, there's been some mistake. Enough, the queen said, her voice cutting through the air like a blade. You are Daniel Cross, she continued, and you will listen. Daniel's mouth went dry. I think you've got the wrong. The queen tilted her head, and the banners above flared brighter. Somewhere in the shadows, a low growl echoed, deep, animal, and close. It made Daniel stop talking instantly. The queen rose from her throne. She was taller than he expected, at least 7 feet. Every movement was slow, deliberate, as if she knew she had all the time in the universe. When she stepped closer, the air grew warmer. Daniel realized her skin wasn't just silver. It shimmered with tiny patterns that shifted like waves. Have been waiting 10 of your years for this moment, she said. Daniel frowned. For me? Why? I'm just a mechanic. Her lips curved into a smile. Is that what they told you? Before Daniel could answer, the floor lit up beneath his feet. Images formed in the light. Strange battlefields filled with towering machines, ships burning in the skies, and creatures that looked like nightmares. One image froze. A man who looked exactly like Daniel, wearing armor and holding a glowing spear. Daniel stepped back, his heart pounding. That's not me, he whispered. No, the queen agreed. That was your ancestor, the one who defeated the mind of machines. Before. And now, it has returned. She turned, walking back toward her throne. You will stop it again, or your planet will burn. Daniel's head spun. Stop it? I don't even know what it is. The queen sat down, her red eyes narrowing. You will learn, she said. Then with a wave of her hand, the chamber's walls peeled open, revealing the endless stars outside. Somewhere among them, a dark shape moved. It was massive, silent, and heading straight for them. The queen's voice dropped to a whisper, but Daniel heard it as clearly as if she were right beside him. We are out of time, Earthling. The impossible demand. Daniel's eyes darted between the queen and the strange shadow drifting outside the open wall. It wasn't just moving, it was watching. Even from here, he felt like it was aware of him. The thought made his skin crawl. The queen's voice cut through his unease. You will destroy it, she said. Daniel blinked. Destroy what? That thing? She nodded slowly, her crown glinting in the dim light. It is called the Mind of Glass, she said. An intelligence that devours stars, bends machines, and corrupts flesh. It has no mercy and no end, unless you give it one. Daniel gave. A nervous laugh. Lady, I fix cars. I can't even kill a cockroach without screaming, why me? The queen didn't answer right away. Instead, she raised her hand, and a column of light appeared between them. Inside the light was a hologram, a battle in deep space. Ships firing, planets burning, entire moons breaking apart, and in the center of it all, a man stood on the surface of a shattered world. He wore heavy armor, and in his hands was a spear of pure white light. His face was Daniel's. Daniel stared. No, that's impossible. The queen stepped closer. It is your blood, she said. Your ancestor was the only one to wound the mind of glass. It has not forgotten him. Or you, Daniel shook his head. I'm not a soldier. I don't know how to fight something like that. The queen's tone hardened. Then you will learn. Because if you refuse, your world will be the first it swallows. Daniel tried to think. Every option seemed insane. Stay here and face a galaxy-killing machine? Or go back home and pretend this never happened? Neither felt like a real choice. The queen seemed to read his hesitation. She leaned forward. I am not asking, she said. Her eyes glowed brighter, and the air around Daniel felt heavy. Images flooded his mind. Oceans boiling, cities crumbling, people screaming as shadows consumed the sky. He gasped, stumbling back. The vision faded. The queen's voice was calm again. You have 10 days before it reaches this sector. She said, 10 days to prepare, or Earth will die. Daniel swallowed hard. He wanted to run, to hide, to tell himself it wasn't real. But deep down, something inside him, something buried, was stirring. The same part of him that used to dream of being more than just a mechanic. The same part that now knew the universe was much bigger and much more dangerous. He met the queen's gaze. And if I say no? He asked. The queen's smile was cold. Then I will throw you into its path myself. At least then you will be useful as bait. The secret history. Daniel stood in silence. The queen didn't move, but the air between them seemed to shift, like the space itself was listening. You think your kind is small, she said. You think you were born on a forgotten world at the edge of nowhere. That is the lie you were given. Daniel frowned. What lie? The queen gestured toward the wall of stars. The metal surface rippled and turned into a vast image. Not a painting, not a hologram. Like a window opening into another time. He saw humans, but they weren't like the people he knew. They wore strange armor that shone under alien suns. They fought side by side with towering insect warriors, creatures of light, and machines with glowing eyes. Ships with human flags flew between burning planets, and in the center of it all was a symbol, a sun wrapped in iron wings. That, the queen said, was humanity before it was hidden. You were warriors, explorers, engineers who could bend the laws of the stars. Daniel's mouth went dry. Before it was hidden? The queen's voice lowered. You lost a war, not against the mind of glass, but against your own kind. And when the war ended, those who survived chose to vanish. Earth was moved out of the galaxy's maps, your history erased, your memories rewritten. You became harmless until now. Daniel stared at the AI attacks. The queen's chamber shook, not like a small tremor, but like something had grabbed the ship and was pulling. The glowing banners swayed as dust fell from the high shadows above. A voice, not the queen's, echoed through the air, cold and hollow. Found you. Daniel's chest tightened. The queen's red eyes flicked toward the wall of stars. It shimmered, then cleared, revealing the dark shape he had seen before. Now it was closer, much closer at first. Daniel thought it was a ship. Then he saw the truth. It was many ships, fused together in a swirling black swarm. The pieces shifted like a school of fish, but every movement was sharp and hungry. Tiny sparks flared inside the mass, each one the death of something caught in its path. It's here, the queen said. Her voice was steady, but her hands gripped the arms of her throne hard enough to crack the black stone. The swarm split, sending long, twisting shapes racing toward the ship. The hull groaned under the impact. Somewhere deep in the vessel, alarms began to howl. Blue lines of light raced along the walls as alien systems woke up. The guards moved instantly, raising their staffs and forming a wall in front of the Queen. Daniel stumbled as the floor tilted. "What is that thing doing?" he shouted. "It is testing our skin," the Queen said. The lights flickered. She looked at him sharply. "If it finds a way in, we will not survive." A section of the wall suddenly peeled back, revealing the outside. Daniel saw the black swarm wrapping around the ship like a predator around its prey. They weren't firing weapons. They were biting. Shards of the ship's silver skin broke away and vanished into the mass. It was eating them. One of the guards slammed his staff down, releasing a burst of bright green energy. The swarm recoiled, twisting away, but more of it kept coming. The Queen rose from her throne, her crown glowing. A beam of white fire shot from her hands into the dark. The swarm screamed, a metallic sound that made Daniel's teeth ache. "Get him to the core." "Chamber," the Queen commanded. Before Daniel could argue, 2 guards grabbed him. "Hey, wait." "I'm not." The floor shifted under his feet, forming a path that wasn't there before. The walls closed behind them, sealing the chamber off from the attack. As they moved, Daniel could still hear the sounds, the scraping metal, the deep rumble of the swarm pressing in. He had no idea what was waiting in the core chamber. But one thing was clear. The Queen wasn't lying about the danger, and whatever that swarm was, it wasn't going to stop until it had them. Asterisk the choice. The guards dragged Daniel into a narrow chamber deep inside the ship. The walls here didn't shine like the rest. They pulsed, slow and heavy, like the inside of something alive in. The center stood a tall crystal column, glowing faint blue. It was beautiful, but it made Daniel uneasy. It hummed like it was breathing. The Queen's voice came through the air, no speakers, no devices, just her words inside his head. "Earthling, listen well," she said. "The mind of glass will break this ship in minutes. You can return to your world now and live out your short, small life, or you can stay, learn, and fight." Daniel's hands curled into fists. "You mean die?" he muttered. "Perhaps," the Queen said, her tone calm. "But if you leave, it will find Earth soon enough. Your oceans will boil, your cities will burn, and your people will vanish in silence. Your planet will be only another piece of the swarm." The humming in the room deepened. The crystal column split open like a flower, revealing a dark metal sphere resting inside. It was small enough to fit in Daniel's hands, but the moment he looked at it, something inside him shifted. A flash, not a vision, but a memory. He saw himself standing on a cliff of black stone, holding that same sphere as 1,000 alien soldiers saluted him. Then it was gone. Daniel stepped closer without meaning to. "What is it?" he asked. "The last weapon your kind built before you vanished," the Queen answered. "It will only answer to your bloodline." The ship shook hard, throwing Daniel against the wall. The swarm's screech echoed through the metal around him. The Queen's voice sharpened. "Decide now. Take the weapon and stand with me, or I will send you home, and you can watch the sky until the darkness comes." Daniel's chest rose and fell. Every part of him wanted to say no, to go home, lock the door, pretend this wasn't real. But the vision of oceans boiling and people screaming wouldn't leave him. If he ran, he wouldn't just be running from the Queen. He'd be running from himself. He took a slow breath, then stepped forward and wrapped his hands around the sphere. It was cold, then warm, then alive. The lights in the chamber flared as the humming turned into a steady beat, almost like a second heartbeat joining his own. Daniel looked up. "Show me what I need to do," he said. In his mind, the Queen smiled. "Good Earthling," she said. "Then let us begin." Into the unknown, the sphere pulsed in Daniel's hands. It wasn't just glowing, it was breathing. Tiny lines of light spread across its surface like veins, and each beat matched his own heartbeat. The air around him felt heavier, charged, like a storm was about to break. The Queen's voice came again, but now it was clearer, closer, even though she wasn't in the room. He could almost feel her standing beside him. "The weapon knows you now," she said. "It will open only for your will." The walls of the chamber shifted and peeled back. Daniel stepped forward into a massive hangar. It was nothing like the cramped, shift-in hallways he had seen before. Here, hundreds of alien ships hovered in neat rows. Some were sharp and insect-like, others sleek like silver arrows. All of them hummed with the same strange energy as the sphere. In the center of the hangar was his ship. It wasn't the biggest, but it looked fast. Its wings folded in like the talons of a bird of prey, dark metal skin, smooth and unbroken, except for the faint white glow running along its edges. "Why does this one look different?" Daniel asked. "Because it was built for the one who would finish what your ancestor started." The Queen replied, her voice lowered. "You." The swarm's roar echoed faintly through the hull, a reminder that the battle outside hadn't stopped. The hangar floor began to rise, lifting Daniel and the ship toward an open launch bay. Through the widening gap, he saw space, endless, black and cold. And somewhere out there, the mind of glass was waiting. Daniel gripped the sphere tighter. The light from it spread up his arms like threads of fire. Inside the cockpit, strange symbols lit up in response. He didn't know how he understood them, but somehow he did. The Queen's voice came one last time. "Do not fail me, Earthling," she said, "and do not fail your world." The launch bay doors snapped open. The stars stretched before him, endless and dangerous. Daniel stepped inside the ship. The controls came alive under his hands. The engines roared, a sound not mechanical, but alive with a deep breath. He pushed forward. The ship shot into the black. The swarm loomed ahead, twisting like a living shadow. Somewhere deep inside it, something was watching him, waiting. Daniel's grip tightened. "All right," he muttered under his breath. "Let's see what you've got." The stars blurred. The swarm grew closer, and the war began.